Veronona stood outside the human restaurant, her heart beating fast. It was a simple building with soft yellow lights and glass doors. Humans called it cozy. To her, it smelled strange cooked oils, burned meat, and something sweet she couldn't name. She wore a long, flowing silver robe, the traditional polite outfit of her people. She hoped it was not too much. Her translator buzzed softly in her ear. It would change her speech to English and turn Matt's words into her native tongue. Veronina had used it before, but never on a date. Her fingers curled tightly around her data scroll as she walked in. Matt was already there, sitting at a corner table. He wore a dark blue suit, nothing too fancy, but he looked clean and neat. He stood up when he saw her, smiling. "Hey, glad you made it," he said, voice cheerful. Veronina smiled politely. The translator turned his words into smooth speech in her mind. "Greetings, Matt. I appreciate your invitation to this food-sharing meeting." He laughed. "You can just call it dinner." The small candles on the table, tiny flames flickered inside glass jars. Open fire, dangerous, but humans liked danger, she remembered. A waiter came and gave them 2 menus. Veronina stared at it. Pictures of food covered the surface and names written in human script. Luckily, she had studied some of it before. She recognized something called vegetable stir-fry. That, she pointed, Matt chose something called steak, which made her raise an eyebrow. "Animal protein?" she asked. "Yeah, it's a common thing here." "Don't worry, it's cooked," Matt said with a small grin. Veronina nodded slowly. Her people didn't eat animals, but she wasn't going to argue. It's not tonight. The food came quickly. As they ate, they talked about their planets, their cultures, even their music. The translator worked well, keeping the conversation smooth. Matt was funny in a strange, awkward way. He made jokes about socks disappearing in laundry machines. And Veronina didn't get it, but she laughed anyway. Matt asked questions about her people. He listened carefully when she explained their sky rituals, their moon dances, and how they sang to plants to help them grow. He didn't laugh, just smiled and said, "That's beautiful." She felt a small warmth grow in her chest. Dessert came round, things called donuts, covered in chocolate. Veronina tried one and almost choked from the sweetness. Matt laughed so hard he nearly dropped his glass. "Too much?" he asked. "Far too much," she coughed, but then laughed too. Then came the moment. Matt lifted his glass of fizzy human drink and said, "2 strange new meetings that somehow feel familiar." The translator buzzed strangely. Nan blinked as her earpiece translated his words. But something was wrong. In her language it said, "I vow to bind myself to you in all futures and offer my soul in peace." Eyes went wide, such a phrase. Sacred. Matt didn't notice her shock. He simply smiled and waited. By instinct, by tradition. Veronina raised her glass and replied, "I accept this vow and return it in full." She spoke the exact words her people used in marriage rites. The translator crackled again and beeped, then went silent. Matt laughed, tapping his glass to hers. "Cheers." Veronina froze. Her hands trembled. Did he know what he just said? Did he understand what she answered? Before she could ask, a group of humans began clapping at a nearby table. "Congrats," one of them said. "What's happening?" She whispered. A server smiled. "First human Ziran bonding we've seen here? Love is universal, huh?" Matt raised an eyebrow. "Bonding." Veronina stood up so fast her chair nearly fell. She stepped away from the table, breathing hard. Matt followed, confused. "Veronina, are you okay?" You just proposed?" she whispered. "What?" "I just made a toast." The translator. "It turned your words into a vow." "A real vow?" "Wait. Like a marriage vow?" "Yes." They stared at each other. Matt's smile faded. "No. That can't be right." "I accepted it," she said. I thought you meant it." Mati ran a hand through his hair. "Oh no, oh no." A moment later, Veronina's communicator beeped. It was her assistant from the embassy. "Congratulations." Assistant said, "We've already begun processing the union. The ceremony can be held tomorrow. Cancel it, Veranana shouted. That would be a public dishonor. It was recorded. Breaking the vow now would shame both families. Matt looked pale. Families. She ended the call and turned to him. We're stuck, Matt. He sat down slowly, staring at the candles. We're married? Accidentally? 'Cause of a translator glitch? Yes. Silence fell between them. Then Matt gave a small, awkward chuckle. Well, at least dessert was good. Veranona couldn't help it. She laughed. Just a little. They both looked at each other, realizing the strange truth, an alien and a human, stuck together by a faulty machine. And this was just the beginning. Matt woke up on a strange bed with silver sheets, a curved ceiling above him, and soft green lights blinking from the walls. He was not on Earth anymore. Where am I? He mumbled, sitting up slowly. A soft voice replied, You are aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity, orbiting above Earth. Veranana stood at the edge of the room. She wore a dark green robe now, more formal than before. Her arms were crossed, and her face was unreadable. Hi, Matt said, with a nervous smile. So, this is happening. Is Veranana replied. Our governments have agreed to keep us together, for now, like roommates, like bonded partners. Matt sighed and rubbed his face. Can we just talk about this for a second? Veranana nodded. Yes, but without the translator. Cannot trust it anymore. Matt pointed to his ear. This thing's still on. Remove it. He did, placing the translator gently on the table. Veranana did the same. Now they had only body language, facial expressions, whatever simple words they both understood. It was not going to be easy. They sat at the small table between them. A tray of fruit and warm drinks was placed nearby. Matt reached for a yellow one and bit into it. It tasted like apple and mint. Not bad. VAR in single quotes. Not watched him, then slowly picked up a red slice and took a bite. For a moment, they just chewed. In silence, Matt leaned back and said, So, what now? Veranana tilted her head. Now, try understand, not with machine, with mind. Matt nodded. Okay, you mad? Veranana thought for a moment. No, mad, confused. Heavy thinking. She tapped her head, then placed her hand over her chest. Also, warm feeling, not anger. Matt gave a small smile. Me too. He took out a pen from his pocket and found a piece of paper. Then he drew a little stick figure of himself holding a flag with a question mark. Veranana leaned forward. She laughed softly, then drew next to it a tall figure with antennae holding a scroll. They kept drawing, laughing at each other's silly pictures. A translator wasn't needed for that. After a while, Veranana stood and walked toward the wall. She pressed a button. Soft hum filled the air as a screen appeared. Message from High Council, she said. Play. A female voice spoke, with subtitles in human English. In light of the union between Ambassador Veranana and human civilian Matthew, both species have agreed to observe the development of this bond. During the observation period, they will share living quarters and daily activities. Early termination may risk diplomatic tension. Matt stared at the screen. So we're on display, yes, Veranana said, but not cage. More like test. They want to see. Matt stood up, pacing the room. Great, so we're married. Can't break it without causing a scandal, and now we're a science project. Veranana stepped closer. But we choose how to live, not them. He looked at her, surprised by the softness in her voice. So, what do we do? He asked. We try, she said simply. Their first task as partners was a cultural exercise. They had to cook a shared meal using ingredients from both planets. Veranana brought glowing root vegetables and soft pink mushrooms that smelled like honey. Matt had rice, garlic, and dried meat strips. They stood in a circular kitchen. One stove. One pot. Nan began slicing the mushrooms with careful hands. Matt, watching, decided to show her how to stir-fry. He held the pan over the heat and threw in rice and garlic. The smell filled the room. Vernay wrinkled her nose. Too strong. Matt laughed. Too good. She added the glowing roots. And soon, the pan looked like a rainbow. They sat on the floor with 2 plates, staring at the strange mixture. Vernan took a bite first. She chewed, then looked at Matt. He braced himself. Acceptable, she said. Matt smiled. I'll take that. They ate together, their first meal made without any machines helping them speak. It felt normal. Later that evening, they sat. Near the window of the ship, stars drifted past slowly. Earth looked like a blue marble below. Vearinan pointed to the stars. My home is there. Matt followed her finger. I wish I could see it. Someday. Maybe, she said. They sat. Close, not touching, but not far either. I didn't want this, Matt said after a while. I didn't want to cause a problem. Me too, Veranona said. But maybe problem is chance. He nodded. A chance to know each other? She gave a small smile. Yes. The next morning, the door chimed. An alien assistant stood. Outside, holding 2 robes and a scroll. She bowed deeply. The first ceremony is in 3 days, she said. Ceremony? Matt asked. Yes, Varenina answered. It is. Bonding ritual. Public. For proof, what if we refuse then? People may say our pieces lie. Matt sighed. So we have to keep pretending. Veranona looked at him. Maybe. Pretend can turn real. With time, he looked into her deep green eyes. They were honest, calm, not full of pressure. Just possibility. He reached out his hand. We try. She placed her hand in his. We try. They didn't understand every word yet, but they understood each other, and that was enough for now. 3 days passed quickly aboard the Unity. Veranana and Matt tried to keep their routine simple. They ate together, trained in language lessons, and even played small games made for interspecies learning. The translator devices stayed off. Most of the time, they wanted to learn the real way with patience. Each morning started with tea from Veranona's world. It had a sharp smell, like tree bark and mint, but Matt began to like it. In return, he made Varanina human coffee. She didn't enjoy it much, but drank it anyway with a brave face. They laughed a lot now. Not because everything was funny, but because laughing made the awkward moments feel less heavy. The day of the ceremony arrived. Matt stood in front of the mirror wearing a robe made of soft golden fabric with black lines across the chest. A helper had styled his hair slightly different, adding a small metal clasp to the side. It looked strange. But Varenina had said it was respectful. Varenina entered the room wearing a light green robe with silver threads that shimmered like stars. A crystal circlet rested on her head. She looked elegant, almost royal. Matt stared. For a moment, then said, Wow. Varanana tilted her head. Wow. Good word. Very good, he smiled. They stood together as 2 officials entered the room. One was human, the other alien. Both wore badges of peace. The alien held a glowing scroll, and the human held a small glass box containing a white stone. Ready? The human asked. Matt took a breath. As ready as I'll ever be. Veranona nodded, more serious now. They followed the officials into the ceremony hall. It was a large circular chamber with soft music playing. Human and alien guests sat in rows, leaders, scientists, and media reporters. Cameras hovered silently in the air. Verena and Matt walked to the center where a white circle was drawn on the floor. They stood inside it, shoulder to shoulder. The alien official unrolled the scroll and began to speak in her native tongue. The human official followed in English, but spoke slowly, giving meaning to each word. They explained that this bond was the first of its kind. A union between species who once feared each other, now standing in peace. The original moment may have been an accident, but what followed was something rare. Understanding without translation. The white stone was placed between them. V-A-R-E-N. Placed her hand over it. Matt followed. The stone glowed gently, reacting to their shared touch. It was not magic, just old alien technology, measuring warmth, calmness, trust through skin contact. When the glow turned green, the crowd clapped softly. No kiss was required. No ring.
Oh.
Just a promise made without perfect words. Veranona turned to Matt and whispered, "We did it." He whispered back, "Yeah, we really did." Later, in their room, they sat quietly. The ceremony was over, but the pressure was not. Messages flooded in, questions from news networks, invites from other planets, even gift boxes with unknown items. Veranan opened one gift and pulled out a small statue of two figures holding hands. "From my old teacher," she said. "Says you are welcome in our family stories now." Matt smiled. That means a lot. They didn't talk much that night. They just sat side by side, drinking tea and watching stars pass the window over the next week. Their bond grew stronger not because they were told to grow close, but because they chose to. One afternoon, Veranona fell ill, not dangerous. Just a minor reaction to human air filters. Her skin turned a soft blue, and her energy dropped. Matt took care of her. He brought her warm broth, adjusted the room temperature, and played calm music from her home world. She was touched by his effort. He didn't try to fix her. He just stayed. "Thank you," she whispered. "Always," he said softly. A few days later, Veranona returned the kindness. Matt had a headache from the constant pressure of being watched. Didn't want to talk, just rest. Veranona sat quietly, offering him silence and space. Then she gently placed one hand on his forehead, a gesture from her people. The warmth soothed him in those small moments. Real care began to form. They attended a second event, a gathering of mixed couples who had also been affected by the translator malfunction. Most looked confused or worried. A few seemed angry. One alien spoke up. "Why should we be forced into this?" Human woman answered. "It's not about force. It's about what we do now." Another said they should fix the translators, not our lives. Veranona stood and said calmly, "Yes, it was a mistake, but sometimes mistakes teach us best lessons." Matt added, "We were confused too. The time we spent learning each other was real. We aren't just pretending anymore." The room fell quiet. After the meeting, several couples approached them, some with hope in their eyes, others still unsure. But Veranona and Matt became something rare, an example that not all accidents have to end badly. One night, Veranona sat at the edge of her bed, looking at a small glowing rock she kept hidden in a drawer. It was a memory stone, one that recorded feelings, not words. Matt walked in and saw her. "What's that?" he asked. "Stone, my mother. When you touch it, it keeps your feeling. It's not exact, but close." She held it out. Matt placed his fingers on it. For a second, the stone pulsed, soft orange. Gentle, steady, warm. Nan touched it too.
Baby, that's it.
Her side glowed the same. She smiled. Matching colors. That means comfort. Matt smiled back. "Guess we're doing okay, huh?" Nodded. "Yes, we are." They didn't say much more that night, but they didn't need to. A soft chime echoed through the Unity's main corridor as Veranona walked toward the communication deck. She wore her simple robe today, no ceremony, no cameras, just her and her thoughts. She had received a message from her homeworld. It was marked urgent. Matt followed her quietly. He didn't say much, but his presence helped her stay calm. They had learned how to move together without needing to talk all the time. On the screen, a familiar face appeared. It was Dr. Thal, the lead linguist of Veranona's planet, Veranona. He greeted with a firm nod, and human partner Matthew. "We've discovered something troubling." Veranona leaned closer. "What is it?" "Your bonding wasn't the only one caused by a translator malfunction, Doctor," Thal said. "We've identified over 50 confirmed cases, and more reports are coming in every day." Matt frowned. "You mean other species are married by mistake too?" "Not just married," the doctor replied. "Some signed trade agreements they didn't understand. Others gave diplomatic approval for dangerous tech sharing. One ship even changed course and joined a foreign military fleet because the translator made them believe it was their mission." Veranona's eyes widened. "How did this happen?" The software patch released last season had a code corruption. Instead of filtering emotional tone, it began turning friendly expressions into formal vows. It mostly affects interactions. Between humans and species like ours, those who use symbolic speech, Matt looked at Verena. So our whole relationship started because of bad programming? Verena paused, then shook her head. It started that way, but not anymore. Dr. Thal continued. We are working on a fix, but it may take weeks, maybe more. And until then, all translator devices are under review. Verena took a deep breath. Thank you, Dr. Thal. We will share this with our crew. The screen faded. Matt turned to her. This explains so much. Yes, she nodded. But now, others may be angry, afraid. Need to help, Matt said. Veer Nan agreed, so we must. The next day they met with Captain Hale, the human officer in charge of the Unity. We've already received reports, the captain said. Some of our visitors feel tricked. Others want to cancel their agreements. It's turning into a mess. Aranana spoke calmly. This is not just a mistake. It is a mirror. We were depending too much on machines to talk for us, Matt added. It made things easy but not honest. Captain Hale nodded. You two handled it better than most. That's why the council is asking you to speak during the interspecies meeting tomorrow. Share your story. Help calm the room. Verena hesitated. Many may not listen. Some will, Matt said, and that's enough. The meeting was held in the Grand Hall of the Unity. It had high ceilings, glowing lights, and rows of chairs filled with beings of all kinds. Humans, Thernics, and even 2 silent Crowley observers. Tension filled the air. One Xerilian ambassador stood up first. His voice boomed across the room. Our leader was forced into an agreement she didn't understand. The humans call it friendship. We call it binding loyalty. This is deception. A human diplomat replied, We never meant to trick anyone. It's a system bug, not a plot. But how do we undo the damage? Shouted another. Verena stepped forward. Everyone turned. She stood tall, hands folded in front of her. Our bond also began from translator failure, she said. I thought he made a vow. He thought he made a toast. We were strangers forced to stay together. Matt stepped beside her. We were confused, scared, angry even. But we didn't break apart. We stopped using the translator. We started talking. For real, Verena nodded. We learned each other's ways, made mistakes, but also shared kindness, Matt added. And now, we're not just stuck together. We choose to stay. The room was silent. Veer Nan looked at the crowd. The machines broke. But maybe. That break showed us something better. Something real. An old Tharnic representative slowly stood. My people lost faith in words long ago. Use light signals now. But your story reminds us why language matters. Human scientist raised her hand. What if we pause all treaties, send counselors to every affected bond, and let the individuals speak for themselves? There was quiet agreement in the room. Not everyone was convinced, but a seed had been planted. Later that night, Ernana and Matt returned to their room. The lights were low. The tea was warm. Matt looked at her. Did we make a difference? Small. One, she said, but maybe important. I'm glad it was you, he said softly, even if it started by mistake. She looked at him, her green eyes gentle. Me too. They didn't need the translator. They didn't need perfect words. They had each other. And for now, that was enough. Veranona walked slowly along the quiet corridor of the Unity, her steps soft and thoughtful. It had been almost 1 month since the day she and Matt accidentally became bonded. What began with a broken translator had turned into something much bigger journey of 2 people learning to understand without words. Now the galaxy was beginning to settle down. The translator error was being fixed, and many accidental agreements were reviewed and canceled. But hers and Matt's union remained, not because it had to, but because neither of them wanted to walk away. Inside their room, Matt was humming softly while trimming a strange little plant. It had round purple leaves and smelled like lemon and salt. Verena had brought it from her homeworld. "You're getting good at that," she said. Matt smiled without looking up. "You said it calms the air, and it looks cool." "Yes. And thank you for taking care of it." He looked up now, his eyes kind. "It's not the only thing I'm trying to take care of." She smiled, then walked over to the window. The stars looked peaceful tonight. "Do you ever think," she asked, "about what would have happened if the translator didn't break?" "Yeah," Matt said. "Maybe we'd just finish dinner, laugh a little, and go our separate ways." "Forget each other in a few days?" Probably, he nodded. They were quiet for a moment. Then Veranana turned and said, "But I don't want to forget you." Matt stepped closer. "Me neither." They were invited to speak again this time at a small peace conference on a nearby station. Many leaders and diplomats came to hear. Stories of misunderstanding and connection. Veranona and Matt were the closing speakers. She stood on the stage first. Her robe was plain today. No symbols, no special colors. Just her real self. "There is something powerful," she said, "in not understanding each other." The room was quiet, listening. "When we use translators," she continued, "we speak fast, but we forget how to listen. We depend on perfect words, but when my translator broke, I had to see him, watch his eyes, feel his meaning." Matt walked up beside her, "And I had to slow down," he added. "Listen with more than just ears." I started to understand her, even when we had no words. And that kind of understanding is rare. Veranana nodded. "We are not bonded because of a mistake. We are together because we chose to stay after the mistake." The audience clapped, not loudly but with respect. After the event, they were given a quiet room to rest before returning to the Unity. Veranona sat on the bench, holding a small, glowing crystal that one of the diplomats had gifted her. Matt sat beside her. "You looked peaceful up there." "'Cause I am," she said. He took a breath. "I think I've grown a lot since this all started. I was just a guy working in Earth's trade office. Now, I'm someone who knows how to read silence, how to wait." Veranona looked at him softly. "You learned well," he smiled. "And you taught me not with words, but with time." Verena reached into her pouch and took out 2 small wristbands. They were woven from green and blue threads with a silver bead in the center. "These are for you," she said. "On my world, we give these to people who are more than important." Matt took one and held it gently. "You are not just my bond partner now," she said. "You are part of me." Matt wore the band on his wrist. "And you're part of me too." They didn't need a translator for that. Back on the Unity, life became quieter but deeper. They didn't always talk, and they didn't always agree. One morning, they argued over which side of the room should have the warmer light. Veranana liked dim blue lights. Matt liked yellow and bright. "It feels like home," he said. "It feels like interrogation," she replied. They argued for a bit, then sat in silence. Finally, Veranona said half the room can be blue, the other half yellow. Matt laughed. "Perfect. Our room will look like a science experiment. But it will be ours," she smiled. They made it work. Weeks passed. Veranana was called back to her homeworld for a seasonal ceremony. Matt was invited as her official partner. Before the trip, he packed a few Earth snacks and a simple notebook. Veranana noticed and asked, "You still draw?" He opened the book and showed her a page. It had 2 stick figures, one with hair, one with antennae standing under a tree. "Still drawing," he smiled. Veranona leaned her head on his shoulder. "I like that." They boarded the ship side by side. This time no one called it an accident. Veranana's homeworld looked nothing like Earth. There were floating gardens in the sky, glowing rivers, and buildings shaped like seashells. Soft blue mist moved through the air like slow music. Matt stood beside Veranana on the observation deck of the small shuttle as they flew toward the main city. "It's beautiful," Matt whispered. Vernon smiled. "Yes, but very different for you." "That's okay," he said. It's part of you, so I want to know it. Those simple words made her heart feel warm. This was the first time Matt would meet Verenona's family. Not as a guest or a stranger, but as her partner. Even if their bond started from a glitch, it had grown into something real. When the shuttle landed, 3 elders greeted them. They wore soft robes, and each had a glowing mark on their forehead. Verenona stepped forward and bowed. Matt did the same, not perfectly, but with respect. One of the elders smiled. Welcome, human. We watched your journey. Your steps are no longer accidental. Matt didn't understand all the words, but he could feel the kindness in the tone. Verenona took his hand gently and led him inside. The home was wide and open. With clear walls and a roof made from light threads, flowers grew in the corners of every room. Verenona's younger sibling, a curious girl named Silrine, watched Matt closely. He's not scary, Verenona said, smiling. Silrine came closer. Why did you stay with my sister? Matt thought for a moment, looked at Verena, then said, because she made me better. Silrina's eyes widened. Then she giggled and ran off. Verena shook her head. She's always asking deep questions. Matt smiled. I don't mind. They're good questions. Later, Verenona and Matt sat on a floating bench in the sky garden. It was peaceful. They had a view of the purple horizon where 2 suns touched the clouds. I never planned any of this, Matt said quietly. Me neither, Verenona replied. But now it feels like fate. Matt turned to her. They said we can choose. Now, Verenona nodded. Yes, no rules, no orders, no pressure. We are free to end the bond if we want. Matt looked down. Do you want to? She took a breath. No. Matt looked up. Double quotes, I don't want to leave you, she said softly. Not because of a machine, not because of duty, but because I feel safe with you, calm, happy. Matt smiled. Slowly, I was hoping you'd say that. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small object. It was a simple silver ring with a smooth green stone in the middle. I know your people don't use rings, he said. But on Earth, we give this when we want to promise something forever. Verenona held the ring carefully, her fingers trembling. And what are you promising to stay? Not because we have to, but because I love you. The words hung. In the air like light, Verenona touched his hand. Then I will wear it. The next day, a new ceremony was held. Not forced, not required. Just a quiet gathering of those who loved them. Verenona wore a pale white robe, simple and soft. Matt wore a dark blue outfit with a green ribbon tied across his chest. Color of her family's bond symbol. No officials. No translator. No crowd. Just them. VAR in single quotes. Na stood in front of Matt and said, in clear English, I choose you. Matt smiled and replied, in her language, I stay with you. They laughed a little. His accent was funny, but his words were true. They touched foreheads. It was enough. Back aboard the Unity, a small party waited for them, human and alien. Friends had made food together, half spicy, half sweet, and all strange. Captain Hale gave a short speech. You two began as the result of a system failure, he said. But you became something rare, an example of what real connection looks like. Not perfect, but honest. Verena and Matt raised glasses of warm leaf tea. Together, they made a toast. 2 mistakes that became something beautiful. Everyone cheered. That night, when they were alone again, Verena took out the memory stone. It still glowed with Matt's color-soft orange, the color of comfort. She placed her fingers on it again. This time, the light turned gold, deep and warm. What does gold mean? Matt asked. Home, she said. He pulled her close, and without a single translator, they understood each other completely.